I'm Court.
And I'm Kiah.
And we're the Backroad Cowgirls. Today we are headed to a cilantro field. I have never been to a cilantro field before, and we're going to highlight a really incredible guy who has an amazing story, and he's going to shed a little light on what it was like to be a first-generation Japanese American in the West Coast.
It's so interesting to hear the rich history behind these farm families and how they ended up where they're at in the legacy and just, gosh, the struggles that farmers have faced through the generations. Also, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to have some fresh produce from the field.
I love it. Should we go meet Tom Ikeda?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm a third-generation farmer here. We farm right now strictly in the Rio Grande Valley in southern San Luis Obispo County. My grandfather immigrated from Japan back in the early 19-teens, first on a sugar contract to harvest sugarcane in Hawaii. And once that contract ended, he moved on to California to harvest sugar beets for Spreckles and Holly Sugar Companies. And he would immigrate up and down California as the crops matured, and was essentially a migrant farm worker. Other members of this family had settled here in the Rio Grande Valley, found this to be a very nice temperate climate, good for growing things year-round, and called other family members. So a group of Japanese Americans moved here and settled down to farm. Back in those days, the first generation didn't really speak English, so my understanding is they gravitated towards agriculture or landscaping because you didn't have to interact in English as much. During World War II, my family got sent back to the internment camps like all the other Japanese families on the West Coast. Luckily for us, the Loomis family, which is a very prominent family in the community, were close friends and watched our properties, leased out our land to keep it working while my family was in camp for the 3+ years. So actually when the war ended, my family had something to come back to. My grandfather had suffered an accident just prior to the war, was paralyzed and died in camp. So it was my uncle who came back to continue running the farm. My father, of all things, was a chemical engineer and decided to go work someplace else. But because of the prejudice post-war, was having difficulty finding a job, so was asked to come back and join the family business here, which was a blessing for me because I had something to come back to as well. This was my passion. It wasn't what I started out to do. I started out as an engineer, a civil engineer at Cal Berkeley, and it was there that I realized, is that really the path I want? You know, I started to think of what I value, what I enjoy, what are the things that I'm passionate about. I realized that a big satisfaction of mine was, and I can remember the exact moment, it was about 6 in the morning, sun's coming up. I remember looking at a green leaf lettuce field and thinking, gosh, I planted that. You know, it's a beautiful field and it's ready to harvest. And that satisfaction and that pride solidified it for me. And that's when I decided, no, I'm going to go back to agriculture. It was a decision, not an economic decision, but a lifestyle decision. You know, I knew I could make a decent living on it if I did well, but I wasn't going to make a fortune. I could make a fortune much easier being an engineer. So it was a lifestyle choice. We are one of 3 active families in the CoOp Pismo Oceano Vegetable Exchange. And what that co-op allows us to do is consolidate our product, whether it's direct or indirect. We supply Walmart, Kroger's, Safeway, whereas if we were doing that individually, we wouldn't have the volume or the consistency to be able to do that. As far as what we grow different types of cabbages, green cabbage, red cabbage, a Taiwanese cabbage, a Savoy cabbage, Chinese Napa cabbage, Chinese bok choy cabbage, different lettuces, green leaf, romaine, iceberg. The co-op grows endive and escrow, parsley, cilantro, kale, broccoli, collard. If you want a one-stop shopping where you're picking up 2 pallets of this, 3 pallets of that, 4 pallets of that, 1 pallet of this, you come to us. With the other growers, we farm about 2,000 acres in vegetables. I would consider us, or Povey, to be a medium small size. Here in California, the biggest challenge we face, it's always going to be water. Ever since I was a little kid, knowing that there's always drought around the corner. Regulations. We live in California. We're one of the most highly regulated states in the country. My father was frustrated with regulations when I came back. I learned to deal with it. I'm towards the end of my career now. I'm frustrated after seeing the regulatory curve go up and up. I'm hoping that the next generation will learn how to deal with it as I did. Combined with the water regulatory pressures, that's kind of a double whammy. Labor is also a big issue. A lot of that due to the cost of living in California, which means that the labor has to be that much more expensive to be able to, for them to be able to live here and work here. Agriculture isn't something you go into half-heartedly and just thinking, okay, it's a job. It's a hard occupation, and so you need the passion to survive the ups and downs, because there are ups and downs every day.
Something that I think was so telling about Tom Ikeda's story is that agriculture has always taken care of agriculture. When his family got sent back to the internment camps during World War II, he said a prominent American family in the community stepped up and said, we'll take care of your land, we'll watch over it, we'll protect it. And the Ikedas were so lucky because they had something to come back to, but I just loved that family stepped up and said, we got this, we'll take care of you. And I think that's one of the things that makes agriculture so special.
Yeah, and like we've said so many times before, Courtney, it's about people, right? And those relationships, those real relationships that allowed them to carry that legacy. And even hearing Tom talk about how, he started as an engineer in college, and he knew that would make him more money than agriculture, but it was his love of the land and that family legacy and the pride he had looking at a field of lettuce saying, I grew that brought him back to the farm, which I think is so powerful. I can't wait to see how it continues for the next generation.
Such a cool story. And I just wanted to hug Tom.
We
did hug Tom. We hugged the heck out of Tom.
We gave him a lot of hugs.
He was so cute and so darling, and we're so thankful.